right. Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, everyone. Welcome to Nurse Charms Live. I am your host, Nurse Charms. For those of you who are joining me for your first time, thank you. Welcome, welcome. This is a live Q&A format, so you're welcome to ask whatever questions you like. We have a guest, as you see on the screen, who I'll be introducing in just one moment, but just want to go over a couple housekeeping things and disclaimers. First off, share this video, please. We want to get the message out. This is going to be a great show tonight. We got a lot to talk about and discuss. You're going to get some great information out of this. So please share this on your pages so everybody can watch. Secondly, I always give the disclaimer that we're not being endorsed, so nobody's paying us what to say. Our thoughts are our own, and this is meant to be for educational purposes only, and we hope that you get some value from this. All of you know I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 18 years, so you're welcome to ask me any, health, medical advice. I'll give you the best that I can. If it's something that I don't know, I'll circle back and make sure that, I answer that question for you. But always talk to your primary care physician. I don't want you to take what I'm saying, and just run with it, because of course I won't know all of your medical history. So whatever you hear, always follow up with your primary care physician. Let me make sure the comment feed is open. Okay, cool. It is open. Oh, we have people on here already. All right. Hey, so with that being said, we'll just go ahead and get started. What's up, Thomas? How you
Hey,
doing?
hey, what's going on?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good.
Yeah,
It's a bright, beautiful day. So, just been having a great day, on this quarantine or whatever, lockdown, but it's going.
yeah. Hey, you can make the best out of any kind of situation. As long as you just keep yourself busy.
Right, absolutely. So, just let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself, okay? Because I always have everybody introduce themselves, so I don't miss out on anything that you're doing. Because you're phenomenal. You got a lot going on. So let's hear it. Tell us about yourself.
And say, well, my name is Thomas Hall. I'm been a mortgage loan originator about 20 years now, and
Okay,
I've
let me just stop you. What is mortgage loan originator? I haven't heard that title before. Can you
yeah.
explain that?
Yeah, that's the actual technical term for being a loan officer, to be able to
Okay.
finance and give people, finance their dreams, their homes, investment homes, get them in the
Okay.
house
Oh, pretty legit.
and all
All
that.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I've been doing this, like I said, for about 20 years, and I think I've seen a lot of stuff from the early 2000s, in which that everything was high and mighty, then to the fall of later, 2009, 2000 area, and then the comeback. So I've been around through thick and thin, and I know what I'm been experienced. So
All right. Nice. Nice. So have you been impacted by COVID-19? And if you have, share what's been going on.
yeah, so like with everybody, I this is just crazy. It's crazy times, and that there's nobody that seem like they have any answers. I mean, everybody's just doing kind of like a plug and pray type of thing, and it's like, well, I want to try to throw this at the wall and see what happens. And I have several family members pass away from the virus, and so I do take this very seriously, in which that I don't go out there and just um, not have protective gear on and face mask and stay my distance away, because although you may not have any symptoms, but you can bring it home and give it to whoever. So I'm very, very cautious about that. As far as with business, it's my business a little bit differently. So I have been affected, but not as detrimental than a lot of other businesses. There was a statistic out from CNBC, I believe, that if this, with this pandemic, if it goes more than like 3 months, 5 months, you can see just the decline of businesses just shutting down. So everyone, so we're like I said, we're all in this together. So, but you got to think past this, so we be able to come out stronger and better. So.
So are you working from home, or do you always work from home? Are you still in contact with clients, or you're just been 100%, on lockdown at home?
Well, the type of business I have, I can do remotely. So, from
Okay.
technology, I mean, I do meet with in regular times. I do meet with clients and have their paperwork, but I do work out of an office, but I can bring it anywhere. I can be on vacation. I had one person who used to work for me. She used to be like in Japan sometimes and doing loans. So it's a very mobile type of business, and that but it gives me the option of freedom to go anywhere in the world. So
Okay, cool. Hey, that's the way to go. I mean, if this pandemic didn't teach us how important, just online and technology is. I mean, I don't know when we're going to learn it. You know what I'm saying? Because like everybody's been doing Zoom, just everything, web based, which I mean is a little bit of a challenge for some people, who not used to that. But for the people who's been doing this, it just seems like normal. But yeah, all right. So let's just go ahead and get started. We have some people. Let me just acknowledge a couple people here. What's up, Tyrese? He says hello. Just some people just chiming in. We appreciate that. And Jason is so awesome, always supportive. Yes, yes. You guys make sure you stay through the entire broadcast, okay? Keep watching. So we've been hearing about how, COVID-19 has really been impacting the urban community. We've all been impacted, but it's been different for the urban community because the mortality rate is higher, especially in African Americans, from all of the reports and data we've been seeing that, this has been causing death in a lot of African Americans, as opposed a lot of African Americans and Hispanics, as opposed to other races. So just yesterday, Magic Johnson, he announced that he's going to actually give African Americans and Hispanics, he's going to give them loans, because not everybody was able to get the PPP. I mean, it just wasn't enough money. Even though they gave out, billions of dollars, it still wasn't enough money to make it around to all of the, entrepreneurs and people, business owners who needed it. So with that being said, he's actually offering 100 million in loans to minorities and women, which is awesome.
mhm.
So the question that I have for you is why is it that so many minorities don't qualify for these types of loans? When you go on, when you go to the small business website, you get to applying and stuff, they ask you a lot of information, about your business. You got to have your FEIN number, a lot of tax documents. And I mean, you got to have, everything in order. And then, you'll have preferential treatment if you have a relationship with a bank. You know what I'm saying? Because if you got good standing with the bank, of course, it's going to make it easier, smoother transaction for them to give you money. But a lot of minorities, they don't have that type of relationship. They may not even have a bank account, or, let alone have all of their stuff, so to call legit, for their business. So why is that?
Well, what I learned is that uh, we don't have any. It's hard to find kind of mentors, okay, to actually show us what needs to be done and how to do it and all the pitfalls to avoid. I remember when starting out with my own business is that it was hard for me to reach out to someone, and especially an older person. And when I was trying to ask questions, a lot of the mentality was, well, I learned it. You got to learn it yourself. And I'm like, well,
Right. That's
that's the most
a shame.
that's the most like yeah insane. That's you have to reach and teach people,
Right.
and that's selfish me only because I did it. That's the most insane way to further a people. And then you complain why you go to certain shops that's owned by African Americans, and then you say, well, they don't know how to run their business, they don't know how to do this, and
Right.
I'm never going to shop at, and you get that mentality. I said, well, okay, a lot of these people are first generation business owners anyway, and they may not have the type of training that was afforded by generations before them to help them just do it right. And what I say the
Right.
most is, if you're, and I always use an example, if you are a banker, like a person who bakes cookies and a person like that, you're not an expert in accounting. You're not an expert in hiring and compliance and all that other stuff. So a lot of people need to start outsourcing their back office. That's why what they're not experts in, they need to get advice. They need to go out and don't be afraid to say, hey, I don't know. I know how to make some great cakes and cookies, but I don't know how to, figure out this person's 401k or this medical plan. I need help. So don't be afraid to go out and reach out for advice. And that's the reason why, a lot of times they don't have their taxes in order to submit so they can get funding from the government. They got to go through all these classes, and some of these classes are very generic to what they need. Is not specific. It's like, oh yeah, you need to do this, get a plan. And I said, well, how do you do this? How you get a business plan? Yes, you know about what the strength, weaknesses, threats, and this other one, what they asked for. I say, but what is it? How do you actually implement it instead of just doing it and paste from somebody? And teach somebody
Right.
for one. And that's what I like to do. If a person asks me a question, I say, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you do it, because you're not going to affect what I do. And actually, I'm going to
Right.
actually further us as a people to be able to accomplish the goals and be a force to reckon with, than to always go to deal with people who don't even like us, and think that we're just nothing but just consumers. We need to be a merchant. We need to be able to get some of these dollars instead of us circling this $1 in the community right outside. The average um, um, community, the average dollars that circulate in our community is less than one. And then with the
Right.
with the Jewish and Asian is like 12 times before it leaves their community. So we need to know how to do that instead of running right down the street to somebody else and give us their dollar that don't have anything to do with us. So, we just
Right.
need to
Yeah.
get our stuff together by mentorship. Hmm.
Right. So, I mean, it's great to have an idea, but I always tell people, okay, do you have a plan? It doesn't just stop with your idea, like, oh, I want to sell candles. Boom. It's like, okay, you have this great idea, you have this great talent, but there's, so much you still have to do, so you have to make sure your business is actually legit. So, yeah, everybody doesn't have that, that insight and that knowledge. And I mean, now this is great, what Magic Johnson is doing. He's come together with a lender and they've agreed to give this money. But I mean, and they've agreed to actually pull away some of their regulations, with the SBA. It's like, all
Yeah.
these stringent regulations. And I mean, they're still following the SBA, guidelines or whatever, but still some of the red tape that makes it harder, that makes minorities why they don't qualify. They're pulling some of that back and, letting them get in a little bit easier. Because they're at the disadvantage. But I don't want it to be like they're just putting a band-aid over this. Like, okay, like moving forward, there needs to be some type of education, so we know, what I'm saying, how to get our business in order, not just okay, give them some money and it's done. Needs to be some type of financial counseling with that also. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, there's no secret to success, and there's no art of doing, really of doing anything. It's a scientific method in order to be successful. I mean, and what is that we need to learn that particular method. Is when you get, okay, so you get the funds, how do you apply? Where to apply it,
Right.
how to
Right.
create a budget. Are you
Right.
working out of a shoebox and just throwing all your cash and working, your cash and your expenses out of a shoebox, or are you actually have like a spreadsheet and you're actually putting everything in doing accurate accounting and how to market, how to order your
Right.
items and inventory, and all. It's a learning process that we need to actually learn how to do. And we just can't just be just like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna wake up one morning and say, hey, I want to open up a clothing shop. I say, okay, well,
Right.
and that could be an apprehension to people who are lenders that give minorities business. Okay, well, if I give you this X amount of dollars, what are you going to do with it? Or are you going to blow it and then had to come back to us? And what's their plan? And just don't say, well, I want to go down here and try, and try to go ahead, hustle out out my car and everything and sell some, this and that. It, it has to be a plan. It has to be a deliberate execution that you need to have.
Right. I know that some, if you want to open up a business and, you're looking to lease some space, some places, some landlords, they make you like show them a business plan. You can't even know if you have some cash, like, okay, well, I got the cash. Like, it's not just that, like, they're really strict, and you could kind of tell when they're doing that. You could kind of tell what type of customer, they're looking to, what type of tenant that they're looking to attract, because not everybody even has a business plan. So those are like tactics you see, you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, the minorities, they're the ones that always get shut out. So what is your opinion of how other cultures view African Americans and their dollar?
Well, my opinion is that it's easy money. Okay. I was told once, they said that I don't really like seeing a person who sells Cadillacs. He's a Cadillac dealer, and I remember him saying that I love dealing with um, with people who are not financially astute, or that are that are very affluent, or whatnot. And they say I love dealing with the guys who are pretty much the hardworking laymen, come in with coveralls, and that don't really ask me a question. I go, they ask, say, hey, how much is the note for this, or how much is the note for that? And I tell them, say, well, this is what the note is. And they say they love customers like that, but it's easy. So when somebody told me that, I said, wow, so you just, you attract more, you like dealing with minorities, or people who you feel that are not that educated, in which that know what type of information they have. And and he, I can read between the lines, and he was saying, well, yeah, you can make the most money out of it, and it's hardly any problems. And so with that, when dealing with the community, I mean, it's a shame that we hardly we hardly don't have anything that we can go to in our own community, or who's in that industry, that looks like and act like us, that we can actually relate to. And then once we do find someone that's like that, we have not a pleasant experience. They say, well, we're just gonna go, I'm tired of dealing with, quote unquote, black folks with their business, and we're gonna go somewhere else. I say, well, if somebody like a white company go ahead and do you wrong, you're gonna say, well, I'm done with dealing with white folks. I mean, that to me, that's easy, and we need to, and that's what other cultures, they look at us as, for, hey, we're gonna they open up in a dangerous, or what they consider like a dangerous, unsavory neighborhood or whatever. And I remember one of my friends was telling me, he's Chaldean, and he said, he was trying to say, yeah, my cousin, he has a store right in the hood, and he risks his life every day, and try to. I was like, oh, really? So how about the people who live there? How about that? And he was just, and then when he was telling me this, it's like, am I supposed to feel sorry for you? And he said, but I love, love the money. The money's very plentiful. And he was just telling me other things that I really didn't like him, just, his perspective, of how he just view, or think that, is money hand over fist in the black community. And it's sickening to me, because the people who's there's a lot of money in those areas that we just giving away all the time, and now it's going back to our pocket, and we make stupid videos of us, like, doing all this craziness in front of these stores, and then who's behind the counter? It's somebody who don't even look like us. Just say, oh, thanks, man. You can go ahead and still act a fool in my stores, as long as you give my cash. And I just hate that. And we need to, really come together and support one another. And even though the service is not all that we think we should tell them, say, hey, you could do this a little bit better. We probably could have had this and that, because a lot of times we just don't know. and just support us, and we support us back because we're all who we have. Nobody doesn't
Yeah.
care about us.
Let's see. Kevin.
Hey,
Hey,
Kevin
Kevin.
Booker.
He says he says hello. You went to high school. You
Oh
guys went to
yeah.
high school together?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Thank, thanks for watching. So let's switch to talk about credit. Okay, so
Mhm.
we have heard, everybody's heard horror stories or may even had a horror story to tell about credit repair, especially throughout this time, where people are challenged financially and everyone is just, looking for some type of answer, looking for, some type of way to make money quick or whatever. And in Michigan, I know that there aren't any regulations, for if you want to do credit repair. I don't know what it's like in other states, but just saying all of this, that I want you to give us some red flags to identify if a company is being ethical or not, because there's a lot of credit repair companies. They'll promise to, we'll get your score, we'll get you an 800, we'll remove everything off, just everything, and then they want you to pay up front. So talk about that. Like is that ethical? I know there's no regulations, but can they charge you, like 2, 3, 4, 5? I mean, I've even heard some people charge $3,000 to fix your credit. So can they charge that much money up front and promise you all of these things?
Yeah.
I mean, is
So
that or is that normal? Like, yeah, just get into, credit repairs
right.
and how to
So
legit or if it's a scam. Okay.
okay. So credit repair. A lot of people do that, and for the most part, it does work. Okay. Um, if the person knows what they're doing and what they need to do in order for them to dispute things, to put things on your credit. I'm not going to do a blanket statement and say, "Hey, everything is a scam," but you have to be very, very wary of what kind of company. If they're giving you they promise you all these different, you're going to have 900 credit score within 30 days if deal with me, and they can't promise you that because technically you had to look at a person's credit, see what type of credit they have, and see if they're legitimate. Because I seen people, I seen I seen. So first of all, your credit, your creditor has a right to put anything well, not anything, but they have a right to put their information on your credit report because they can pay for that, and that you can fight it. Of course, they got to go by a lot of the Fair Credit Reporting Act laws that there's like 43 that had to be compliant with that. But
Uh-huh.
you can't. A person is saying, "Well, we're gonna just take this off, and we're gonna promise you to remove it." It's not that simple. Because like I said, a creditor can put things back in your credit. So when a person's promised you like that, kind of like if it's a legitimate debt that you owe, you owe it. Okay, and they can put it on there as long as that credit company that's offering you that either you took out like credit card or whatnot, they pay in order to put your stuff on there. So you could probably take it off for a quick second, but they can put it right back on. So don't just get some information with that. Now, when people charge up front, they advise you to not pay up front for a service because that's it's not a promise. It's not a promise they will actually work for it. But there are companies that charge like what they call a membership plan, that if you pay like $40, $100 a month, then they'll go ahead and dispute and fight for your for things to on your credit, which you can do
Well,
yourself.
a lot of them charge a setup fee. So like you pay like $75, 100, 200, 300. I mean, it just kind of varies. You pay a setup fee
Mhm.
and then you pay a monthly fee.
Yeah.
So
So
I mean, is
yeah. So the
that
month. Yeah, just to get because you want to have your setup. The setup is just basically just getting all your information together, which which basically just pulling your credit and just taking a look at, and then and then instead of them charging like per item to take off your credit, they just charge that monthly fee for it. But I seen stuff like $4,000 or $5,000 to somebody to repair your credit. I haven't even heard of people having new social security numbers, you know.
Oh yeah, I hear about that too.
Yeah, social security numbers. They got people that throw credit lines on people's credit just
Yeah,
to get them
credit
up,
line.
and yeah, and I said, wow, that is so illegal. And one time I had a person call me, and it's just some suspicious stuff. They call me and say, hey, yeah, I want to go ahead and try to apply for a house. I said, okay, well, give me your information. What's your name? And so pretty much if I ask a person a social security number, especially if they like in a good 40s, 50s, where they can write it off at the top of their top of their tongue. This person's like, oh wait, hold on, let me check. And I was like, okay, this guy is it's not legit.
Well,
Give me
I guess here is the loophole, because if it's not regulated, then how is it illegal? You know what I'm saying? Like, because we're both saying that you shouldn't. Like, if you go on Experian, if you go on any of these credit sites, even Credit Karma, I mean, even Lexington Law, like a lot of these people, they'll tell you don't pay up front. You shouldn't be paying up front. But then you have credit companies who still charge upfront fees for credit repair. So it's like, which one is it? Is it like you shouldn't be paying upfront, or they have the right to charge upfront? That's why I'm trying to figure out which
well,
one,
technically, if you
because
go ahead and
they can't go to. I mean, who would
you can
stop them? You know what I'm saying? Who's going
you,
to stop this credit company from trying to charge somebody $500 up front to fix their credit company? If it's not regulated, how would that work?
well, there's a whole bunch of
Who would make them?
consumer protection that's out there that you can call up the state. The state they have different regulators, because if you're they have like the licensing and like consumer credit or consumer financing.
Oh,
And if you report some scrupulous type of business, they can send out like an investigator out there and say, hey, what are you doing, and everything like that. Because they had when people was doing a lot of loan modifications back in the day, they people were charging a lot of money up front, to do a loan modification for a mortgage. And
uh-huh.
that became they put out some legislation behind that became illegal. So it depends on what type of abuse that is happening,
Okay.
and you can actually get jailed and fined for if you're misinforming people and you're taking people's information and not doing promising them. I mean, they it's not free for all wild wild west. I mean, there are regulations behind it,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, but just know that anything you can do that anybody else can do, you can do yourself. You can go ahead and dispute anything that's on your credit. You can challenge a couple of things. You can request things. I mean, there's ways to do it, and I help out people to help out, get their scores up. I don't do any credit repair, but I do have a program in which that you say, okay, hey, how can I do this? I can do that. They actually offer what they call simulators, which is person need to, what if I pay this down? What would this happen to my
Oh,
score?
yeah. I see those.
And
Okay. Yeah.
I run that all day, long, in which that
All right.
help people out, because people go and pay off their credit card or pay off a collection, then their scores end up going down. So I kind of help them out with that, but I don't do credit repair though, because
Okay.
something that you can
But
do yourself.
can you have something? Can you have something removed off your credit just simply because you don't feel like paying it? Because you hear people say, "Oh, we can remove this, we can remove that." But I mean, can you legit have something? Say you owe Visa $5,000 and you like, look, I just don't have it. I can't pay it or whatever. Just get that removed. Can somebody remove that, or will Visa remove that just because you don't feel like paying it? I mean, is it that simple? Because I mean, some of these claims, they make it seem like it's just so simple. Oh, you can get all that removed. It's like, how can you get something removed because you don't feel like paying it? I mean, unless you wait the 7 years out, how does that work?
Right. So anybody can, if you owe somebody, anybody can report to the credit because the creditors actually pay to put your items on the credit report. So if they decide they want to pay or not pay, then that's when the items come off. Yeah, and there's some rules and some laws that they may have to follow that they had to be compliant with in order to put that. But they only got to become compliant in order to put anything they want on your credit report. So by just having somebody say, "Well, I don't feel like paying," just take that off. Uh, it's kind of hard if it's brand new, um, a brand new like collection or something like that. Normally, after let's say 2 to 4 years, about 2 to 4 years, that the creditor would don't it's easier to take things off after 2 years because after 2 years, then it's considered to be kind of like older, and the collection company or the person that you owe have passed that on to another collection company, and so are they actively collecting on you? Probably not. But there's some it's possible to get those things removed, but don't believe somebody say, yeah, I can just remove everything off your credit, because next you probably do it for like 1 month and then it's right back on, which I've seen a whole
Right.
bunch of it. So be careful
Yeah.
of that.
Right. And then the last thing I want to ask you about credit repair is are you legally obligated to pay a debt collector? Debt collectors calling and harassing you, and you just avoid their calls or whatever. I mean, I guess you keep avoiding it till they take you to court or whatever. But are you legally obligated to pay a debt collector, or can you just be like, no, you're not going to pay that? Because the credit company, they sell the debt, right? Isn't that what they do? Yeah. So now the debt collection company, they come after you. So do you have to pick up your phone and talk to them, or how does all that work?
I want to tell you a secret. Okay, an attorney told me this,
Okay.
and so a lot of people don't know that these collection companies, they buy that particular debt, let's say Visa or whatnot, for pennies on a
Right.
dollar. Okay, because Visa just say, hey,
What?
just give me. Yeah. So basically, because Visa's not going to collect on it, they're going to write it off anyway. But if somebody offered me, let's say I owe $1,000 to say, and a collection company say, hey, I give you $100 or $50 or whatever, to have rights to that particular collection, then because you're going to write it off anyway, so you might as well make something. So the collection company then takes that, bought that debt. Now they say, okay, cool, I got $1,000 that I can go and collect from a person, and that's the reason why they're on the phone with you, on harassing you, say, hey,
So it's like a little hustle. That's a
yeah,
hustle by people debt.
exactly.
Man,
So
people made a business out of
yeah, so
that.
yeah, because it's like it's a win-win for because the Visa's like, well, we're never going to collect them anyway, or it costs too much for us to go after them in court. So yeah, here you have at it, and so they go ahead and buy that collection, and then the collection agency will call you up, and it's a law that says that within 6 years, you had to pay a debt within 6 years. So if you don't pay within 6 years and the collection company doesn't take you to court or file a judgment against you, you don't have to pay that after 6 years. Okay, so that's the reason why they want you to. They call you and say, well, do you have $100 you want to put on it, or $50 or something? Because if you pay anything towards that collection, then the 6 years starts all over. So
Oh,
yeah, so don't admit,
that's the secret.
yeah. So best thing, don't admit, don't feel pressured. And unless they start to file any kind of judgment against you, you don't have to pay them. In six, they can't collect from you after 6 years. So within that 6 year time frame, if it doesn't turn into a judgment, then then you're pretty much scot, almost free for that after 6 years. And so just weigh it out, and that's the reason why it's good at that point. If you want to go ahead for older collections to go ahead and try to get it deleted, they won't really fight you, to put it back on, because it's like old stuff. And if they haven't collect a couple $100 on you or settle with you, because I tell people all the time, if you owe somebody and you want to get that collection on, settle, and and I seen people settle, huge, like pennies on a dollar again. A person owe $1,000. They say, well, I got $100. What do you want? And they say, well, okay, I take it. Not saying everybody, but I seen some things, that would take it like
Yeah.
that. So
Let's see what they're talking about over here. Anthony, he says it's cheaper to go to court. They give you time to pay your money. I guess if you go to court, that would be if they if they serve you, right?
yeah,
She says great job.
yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you. Appreciate it. Yeah, so all right, let's change the flow again. I want to talk about mindset and an attitude with being a business owner, entrepreneur. So I want to know, like, can anyone be successful? You somebody takes a class, you teach them, or is it that people have to have a certain mindset, and if they do, what are the expectations that they need to have? I mean, because
okay.
everybody doesn't have that gumption, everybody doesn't have that drive and passion. You can have two people, they both aspire to be entrepreneurs, and you just see one person, you just be like, man, they are just on it, and the other person, they just kind of like lost or something. So
Yeah.
is that something you really teach somebody how to be successful, or they just got to be it?
So, like I said earlier, the secret to be success is not a secret. It's just a formula. Okay. But it's up to that individual to have that burning desire that's in the pit of your stomach that you only will feel if you have. I mean, a lot of true entrepreneurs always will have that burning desire, and not just doing it because somebody's, hey, we should go into a business together. Oh yeah, okay, I don't have anything else to do. But that person who had that gumption to say, you know what, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be successful in anything I do, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what, you know. And you got to have a still, a really thick skin to go through this stuff because it's hard. It's hard being an entrepreneur because it's all on you, and you had to
Right.
make it happen. If you eat or you feast to famine all the time, and you had to be there and be able to have that mindset. I remember this one lady who owns a real estate company, and she's been doing it for 30 some years or so. And she said being an entrepreneur will make you a Christian real fast, or a religious person real fast. And that was so true. In which that you get to some people say, well, it's all on me. I don't need God. Until stuff be happening to you, then a lot of times you get up on your knees, and the only person who got your back is God. And
Right.
it's hard, but you have to have that thinking of being result. You got to know what kind of goals you have and be convicted in which that you're already there. And a lot of people don't see themselves already successful and just waiting for
Mm-hmm.
their whole life to catch up to that point in their life. So it's active. And there's some people that shouldn't be business owners at all. Let's just be honest with you. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I mean, you're good at what you do, but you should own the business. And you gotta just be real with you. And that's not saying you're a bad or anything, because I hate when people say, "Oh, well, you be your own boss." Well, you're not your own boss, and try to shame people because they work for somebody
Yeah.
else, and that's to me, that's a very narrow minded type of thinking, in which that people are cut differently. And you have to sort yourself. It's not bad or it's not good. It's just who a person is, and you
Right.
have
It's
to.
not no right or no wrong. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't convince you, because it's a saying that says, "A man convinced against his will have his own opinion still." So when I heard that, you can't convince anybody to become what they don't want to be,
Right.
unless it's hard. So to have that attitude, stuff is going to come after you, but you just got to fight through it and know that, and to see yourself at the other end, and just educate yourself and just keep going no matter what, because things open up. And anything through life, you just keep on going. because you think, how I'm going to get through this, and then and so nobody's not going to help me out, or I lost this, I lost that, and then next thing you know, you get a knock on the door, and somebody say, I heard about you, I want to invest in your business, or I found somebody who can help you out with this particular problem. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
and that to me is one of those things that that's all, a higher being, that actually helps you out with certain things that you just don't have a clue how you're going to get out. You figure it out, and then and next thing a guy will come knock on your door and send somebody to you. You know.
Yeah. Listen, let's talk about home ownership during a pandemic. So, is it a good time right now to be buying a home?
Yes.
Or is it a
Mhm.
good time to rent? Or is it a good time for both? Like, which one's better, renting, buying, or either or?
Right. So right now is an excellent time to purchase a home, just because
Why is it
of
excellent? Why is it an excellent time to purchase a home?
because right now you have no time in history have to get a home ownership is at a super low cost right now to own more house than ever time in history, and right now the inventory is going to it's hardly is the inventory is kind of locked up right now, meaning that's not that many homes that's going to be available right at this particular point, but it's getting better, in which that the buying season has been delayed and it's opening up. But right now, you can buy a home way cheaper than you can rent. If you do an analysis, it's better to is home ownership is right now is where to be at. If you want to purchase a home, because renting right now, say, hey, I'm just going to wait until the market get better or anything. It's the market's, yeah, it's steady right now. As long as you know we're we're heading into a right direction with this virus, with this COVID, that we should have some type of it should be some stability that's had, and actually the appreciation of homes are on steadily going up. And right now there's a lot of equity in homes right now, so we don't see any kind of like crashing, like we did in 2000, 8, 9 or whatnot. And the market is very strong, and to own something right now, because the value is only going to go up, is right now, so we can get some of that equity in your name, and you can start having some type of asset, instead of just renting because you feel you don't can't afford. And right now there's easy there's a lot easier ways there's easier ways to own homes than it was, let's say, 20, 30 years ago, in which that you had to have like you know um, huge amounts of down payments and all of that. There's programs that's available, and it's easy. It's easier to get a house.
What about the people who are worried about, COVID and just like germophobic or whatever? So they like, I ain't trying to buy no house. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what those people had or have, or are that hasn't been any concern. Have you been hearing any buyers, be to express concern,
Yeah.
or
So the real estate market, on the people who actually the realtors, they came in with a plan in which that they the governor said, hey, no more than like 4 people at a time can show a house. And of course, when you get in the house, if you purchase once you purchase a house, you're going to sanitize the house anyway. I don't really know anybody who just move right in, just start hopping to bed and don't do any kind of cleaning themselves. People are freaked out a little bit about the getting the virus or whatnot, but their houses are selling. Actually, since the state has opened up, we've been seeing a super rise in purchases. And so it's a like I said, don't let this virus stop you from purchasing a house. A lot of time, what's happening right now, people don't have jobs, and so that's the reason why it's kind of like stopping a person from purchasing a house. But since the state is opening back up, now people are going back to work and able to start purchasing. So I encourage anybody to seriously think about it, or get yourself prepared to purchase a house, and because it's better than renting.
you mean renting a house or renting an apartment, or either or?
Either or, because they did analysis of the cost of buying I don't really know the numbers right offhand, but it's say a $200,000 home, let's say for example, could cost you, let's say, $1,500 a month in mortgage, and that's just an example. Uh, and here you have people that's renting and paying $1,500 a month, and why
That's
can't?
true. But you have to pay the DTE bill, you have to pay the water bill, you have to pay like all these different bills. You got your lawn service, snowing. I mean, you have a lot. So even though so say you may be spending $1,500 on rent and then $1,500 to buy a house, doesn't it still seem like a house would be more with all of the added stuff?
Well,
Utility, it's gonna be more money if you're running the heat in a house
mhm.
versus an apartment.
Well, yeah. Well, if you have an apartment, then some of the utilities are included and everything like that. But with owning a house and rent, you're actually starting to build equity into your property, and then also the property is actually appreciating the value most of the time. So actually you're way ahead. Let's say after 15 years, where will you be at? Will you still be renting, with no equity, or you're actually 15 years having a house and you got equity and then you got appreciation on top of that, and you have something that you can lay your head at without, saying if you missed a payment, or the owner of your apartment or your house changed owners and they want to go up on the rent and all that, is that insecurity. And plus, there's a study that says that people who own homes are less likely to have depression, less likely to be sick. It's a whole psychological factor of
Wow.
owning something. And
Oh,
that's what, yeah. I mean, but if you're a transient person that say, hey, I'm just going to be in this certain area for a little while, or whatnot, and if renting is best, may be best for you, but again, it's all about individual. But if you plan on staying in the area and not really moving around, get a house. Go ahead and purchase a house and get that and start building up some assets for yourself.
all right. Much Dr. Lino. Hey, she says, hey,
Hey,
Thomas and Charles.
hey, Dr. Lena.
And she said that I should answer the entrepreneur question too, with your go-getter attitude. Thank you. Thank you. Anthony, I think he was talking about what you said earlier. He said, ask you what came first, the chicken or the egg. Yeah, just laugh that one off. So buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions that we will make in our lives, but there's still a lot of outdated myths. So we hear that you got to have perfect credit score. You got to have at least a 700 to buy a home. You got to put 20% down. I mean, it's all of these outdated myths. So just kind of clear the air with and let us know the truth. What does it take? What do you have to buy a house? So we get rid of all the misinformation.
Right. So I believe back in 1996, 97, that Clinton, President Clinton, went ahead and initiated the Everybody Shall Own a Housing Act. I'm not sure the exact terminology, but he went ahead and was promoting a lot of people to start having homes and ownership. So they relaxed a lot of these restrictions. So our parents and grandparents, back said, hey, you got to have 20-25% down, and in order to even be spoken with to go see a lender. That's no longer the case. And then you can't go the other way, which was was got some financial trouble, in which that you can literally go with no money down, nothing invested in property, and end up getting yourself into a big in a lot of trouble. What you see? So they did a balancing act now, in which that they still have these particular programs available, in which that you can, if you're a veteran, you don't have to put any money down, zero down on a property.
What do you mean
You
you're a veteran? You mean literally a veteran in the
Yes, and
air?
so if you served in the armed forces, then you
Oh,
can
you
get
don't
what
have
they
to put
call,
nothing down.
yeah, you can have like a VA
Wow.
loan that you can you don't have to put anything down, zero down for purchase of house. There's FHA, which is a government program which you put like 3.5% down. There's also some other programs that's by places that you heard Fannie and Freddie or whatever, Fannie Mac and um, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I'm sorry, that they also got other type of home buying incentive, which you don't have to have that much down to put in to get a home. So and it's credit scores, they open it up to in which that I've seen people get homes that was less than had a lot of bruises on the credit, but it depends. So
Like, well, I heard you got to at least have a 550 or something. Is that true?
no, I've seen people with under 500 with credit scores, but those are, I don't really like to promote those type of loans because you either had it's not really it gets you in a house, but you had to put so much money down on a property, and I mean it's
I thought
doable.
you said you don't have to I thought you just said you don't have to put money down anymore.
No, no, there's a program for pretty much for almost everyone. So if
Okay.
person with high credit scores, of course, you can put down less money. You don't have to put down to 20%. But people who doesn't have that, they had to assess you for some certain types of risks that you have. So
Okay.
but they don't lock you totally out of buying a house because they loosen up a lot of requirements in which that you have, let's say, I know people with 500 credit scores who was able to get into a home, but they had to put a whole bunch of money down on it, which I don't really like to promote.
Okay.
Unless they just really say, I got to get the house. I say, oh, well, okay, well, let's have a plan to get you out these particular loans. Um, but there's a whole bunch of different programs out there right now. Since what happened with the with this virus, they have tightened up a lot of requirements right now, just so they can get a handle and everything. But once this virus started letting up, then it was loosened back up, in which that they don't require a lot of these
Why
requirements.
why would this virus make them be more restricted?
Well,
Why is it
because they're afraid, because people are not working, and so if people are not working, they're not paying their bills, and if they're not paying the mortgage, then the people who you pay the mortgage to has to pay on the mortgage to that people who actually owns the, in the Wall Street, the people who actually owns these what they call mortgage backed securities, like up in in the stock market, their bill still had to be paid. So in
but
order
I
for
thought you
them,
said it's a good time to buy a house. You said it's a good time to buy a house, but now you're saying it's a lot of restrictions. I'm confused.
no, it's a good time. It's a good time to buy a home. But
Okay.
right now, I mean, they made the box a little bit tighter for certain individuals. Like for instance, you have like Chase, who actually they put a lot of different layers of risk in there, which that you had to, I think, be like a 700 credit score with 20%. But that's one particular lender, that put their own type of criteria on to assess their own risk. But there's still people that's out there that you can just go in and purchase a house without any kind of extra added layers. But they just try to protect their own self for people to um, go into foreclosure or can't afford it. So they got to manage it for right now. But but definitely, yeah, people are buying homes. Yeah, it's definitely a great time to buy a home. Yes.
All right. Okay. Now I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts of this lockdown? Like, do you feel like it's too draconian? Or do you feel like keep us on lockdown until we get a vaccine, or keep us on lockdown, until the cases go down to zero? Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thought is safety. Okay, and I want to make sure that it's controlled, in which that people who are responsible enough, and I hate to even say that you don't need these measures are put in place because by making suggestions that people are not following the suggestions. So like the governor or the governor had to say, okay, well, since you guys don't want to be able to be able to calm yourselves down and stay at your home as was suggested. Now I'm going to have to put some laws put in place, and I can see the reason behind it. And there's some things that a couple of things that say, okay, well, you can still kind of line up on a couple of areas in the state that say, hey, if it's not low, I mean, if it's low, then just let them, be able to still social distance and keep themselves, wash their hands clean and stuff. And some area hot spots, yeah, you're gonna have to be a little bit more um, take drastic measures just because it just the hot spots, that you had to concern about. So, but no, it's not. Draconian to me is, you get pulled out in the street and go to jail, or get executed for breaking one of these laws. But they try to make it enough so to get people's attention to say, hey, come on, guys, just use some common sense, wash your hands, and just take care of yourself and just be clean. But most part, it's about just safety.
Let's see. Wendy has a question over here. She wants to know, is it a good time to try to refinance?
Yes, it is. It's a right now it's with these rates that are very low. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's these rates are going to be around from the experts. What the experts say, these rates are going to be around for a while. And so it's not really like you, let me hurry up and do it because it's we only got this small amount window. From what the experts say is we're going to be it's going to be low for they said to like sometime next year. Okay, so it's a good time to refi. I would definitely encourage refi, especially if you got a crazy rate that you're paying right now and then you're working and stuff. Let's go ahead and try to get that taken care of.
All right. So give everyone some final tips on how to stay on top of finances during this pandemic.
Well, don't spend more than what you can afford. I mean, to be smart with your budget. Cut out some of the fat that you spend on, and just be smart because you may have to hold on to your cash for a good minute, because it's some statistic came out that that the average person don't have more than $400 in their bank account, and as we can see, and this really exposed how we really live, that most people don't even have enough money to go by next month. So and they always recommend that you have like at least 6 months of reserves left in case if you have a pandemic or some crazy emergency like this is happening. So I was always taught to pay yourself first before you start paying everybody else. Make sure you have savings and know what to spend and to budget out your money. Say, hey, this money's going to go for this and that, and this is, and then I have some discretionary incomes, but I'm only going to be, let's say it got $400 and say, okay, this $400 is only going to be, used for this amount. And I'm going to just put aside $50 to do whatever I want for it. I mean, if you keep habits like that and constantly, just manage your funds, then you're going to be fine, but just kind of stack your money up though. that was my advice for you.
Yeah. So let everybody know how they can get in contact with you. If you have a website or if you have social media, go ahead and promote yourself right now.
Yeah. So you can go to my website. It's called youronlymortgage.com. That's www.youronlymortgage.com. And
that's easy.
Yeah.
That's catchy.
Yeah. So, and or you can call me at 248-289 loan LOAN, and also you can reach me Thomas Hall on my website page and on my Facebook page, and I'll be able to get back with you and you give me a call. But I'll tell you the truth of what you can afford. I don't try to hustle up anybody just so I can hurry up and if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. I don't try to pressure you into anything. Make sure it's right for you, and if you need to think about it, think about it. Hey, mortgage is not going anywhere. and just make sure you make the right decision and don't get out hustled or feel pressured, that pit in the stomach that say, man, I think I messed up. If it don't feel right, don't do it. That's what I tell people all the time.
Right. Right. Well, listen, thank you so much for being on my show tonight. You're a wealth of information. This is a great discussion, very informative. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Those of you who are watching on the replay, still ask your questions because, I go through the feed and I'll come back and I'll answer any new questions I see. And again, I appreciate everybody for your support, sharing this video, watching. And I'll see you guys back tomorrow at 8 p.m. I'll have another special guest, but you have to watch to find out. So thank you, everyone. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Thomas.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Talk with you later. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.